Good morning, Warrior Staff. I'm here this morning to talk to you about all things PowerHour, PLT, and Fs. So just give you a little bit of information about where we're at, where we've been, and where we're going. So recently there was some staff interest in putting a PLT in place, similar to what we did during the remote status. During that remote status, we had that hour block of PLT where students checked in with their warm-up teacher and worked on missing or late assignments. So that PLT block was originally put in place when we went to a remote status. It was really dropped in place because the district meals were going to be continuing, and we wanted to ensure that our students had a way to go and pick up a school lunch if they needed to without missing instructional time. So we dropped that hour of PLT in there kind of as an optional time for students. And we also knew that there was going to be a steeper learning curve. Sorry for my notifications. There was going to be a steeper learning curve on Canvas and getting assignments submitted, and so that would provide a nice platform for warm-up teachers to really, champion those students during that remote time to help them stay caught up with all of their work. So there was some staff interest in continuing that back in the in-person setting. I have went around and had individual conversations with most of the people on that list. I haven't made it around to everyone yet. We've also discussed this a few weeks in leadership team. My conversations with individuals has really indicated that the main concern has been the high number of Fs and just feeling the need to help students achieve and be more successful with their academic assignments. So what I would encourage is that we do allow some time for recovery now that we're back into the in-person setting. We've also implemented ZAP. Just last weekend we started ZAP on Saturday, and we'll be continuing that as needed on Saturdays. We also decided as a leadership team at the last meeting that it is okay for warm-up teachers to use some of that warm-up time in the mornings to target students missing assignments. I know that a lot of that is already happening. We just ask that you continue to protect the second step on Wednesdays, the IPS time on Fridays, and just remember that the general why behind that time is a soft start to the student's day and a strong relational piece in their school day, both between you and the students as well as the students themselves within the warm-up class. But it would be appropriate for you to use some time in the mornings to help students with individual assignments and getting missing work turned in. So just with some of those things in place, we also do have PLT is in place during PowerHour for students who are failing at least one class. It's also an optional time for students who want to take a PLT. And students who are failing multiple classes that don't get pulled generally are assigned for 2 sessions, so they have an hour PLT. If they're not failing but a class, then generally they just have 1 session of PLT, and then they're still allowed to go to an enrichment. Just some of those things being in place. In the last 2 weeks, we have reduced our F count by more than 300. So we are seeing a decrease, and we hope that continues. So at this time, we will not be adding a PLT block into our instructional day as we had it in the remote learning status time. This conversation has kind of brought up a good chance for us to review and look back at why we've implemented PowerHour and what the purpose of that is and where we're going with that. So I do have our KISA, this is the district accreditation presentation that will be presented to the outside visiting team in May. And there's just a couple of things I wanted to reference so that you guys could help to see the bigger purpose behind some of our school strategies. And I'm going to take you back even further. So my first year here as the principal, those of you that were here, you guys probably remember one of the very first PD days that we had. There was an outside presenter. His name was Brig, and he brought to us the foundations of the PLC process, and we worked really heavily on that year, implementing those 4 questions, regarding instructional units and drafting essential outcomes, which we call PowerHour standards. In that implementation year, we did a lot of needs assessments, surveying of the staff, and the main thing that we heard as the year progressed was that you guys needed protected intervention time to support struggling students. So that's really why we initially started looking at a school-wide intervention block. And then as we moved into redesign, that became a piece that we wanted to ensure that our schedule had based on the needs assessments of the teachers in implementing those DeFore questions and that PLC process. So when we started to draft a schedule, we said that we wanted to make sure that there was an intervention block in place. And that's how we really started with the PowerHour time. It has served us well in aligning with some of our district vision through the KISA process. So I'm going to show you the important pieces. So our 2 district goals at USD 480 are connected to these 2 R's, relevance and relationships. They are personalized learning and social, emotional, and character development. So PowerHour really attacks this personalized learning goal. It's the place in the day where we have more time allotted to students who need more targeted instruction on essential outcomes that we've got in the core curriculum. It's also where we have voice and choice. We have that in electives, but we also have voice and choice for the students who are achieving those essential outcomes, where they get to select their enrichments during that PowerHour time. Okay, I'm going to click way ahead now. Oh, no, I'm going to show you this one first, sorry. In that KISA presentation, also one of our areas of growth as a district is our tiered system of support. So that would be like our SIT process. And PowerHour is also our school-wide strategy for tiered systems of support. So when you pull a student for PowerHour, that you are providing a Tier 2 intervention that we are tracking and looking at data and progress for. So that is supporting us growing in a stronger systematic process for tiered systems of support. I'm going to fast forward ahead now to our individual Eisenhower piece of the presentation. And you can just see these are our 3 KISA goals as a building. And personalized learning is really about that PowerHour process and looking at the effectiveness of the time where we're pulling individual students based on those essential outcomes we've drafted in our core classes. And we're really working right now on tracking that data to see how effective that personalized learning and intervention time is during PowerHour. So what we really need right now is, we've had a lot of interruptions this year and everything else, but what we really need right now is to stay strong in our implementation of PowerHour as our school-wide intervention block and targeting more personalized learning. Get that implementation strong and continue to document our progress. We need you guys to make sure that each time your PowerHour ends, you're using the tables that are in the PowerHour effectiveness folder, and you're documenting your data from the beginning of that intervention to the end of that intervention, so we can really see the progress of that strategy. And once we have more data over a better period of time, then we can start to come back to that and look at that as a school-wide team and revise and refine that system as needed. So that's where we've been, where we're at, where we're going. Obviously, if you guys have any questions regarding that, I would encourage you to reach out to me, and I will answer those as best as I can. I thought I would end today with a quote from Jim Collins, one of my favorite books, Good to Great. He says, "Greatness is not a function of circumstance. Greatness is largely a matter of conscious choice and discipline." I hope you guys have a great day. Stay warm.